How about a Coppola quick facts?
A couple of quick facts here. Gary Goldman and Jason Kurnick initially optioned the science fiction short story The Golden Man by Philip K. Dick. Goldman wrote a script treatment that he and Kurnick, it's a weird name, Koornick, presented to Nicolas Cage's company Saturn Films. But then Goldman ended up writing the screenplay on spec after that. The short story was very different. It was, obviously a short story, but it was like he was more like a mutant, and they, the crux of the story is that they trapped him and they forced him to like try to reveal the future, and he was a slave, and it was like a talking, kind of like an allegory of like, what is freedom and when does your freedom go away if you have some incredible gift, and like you would never be able to be left alone. That was the crux of the story, and then they turned it into this.
It's confusing because Minority Report and Total Recall are sci-fi. This not. And so I was like, he's a sci-fi writer. There's no way he wrote a story about some Vegas Chris Angel wannabe who can see into the future, 2 minutes in the future. And it just didn't make sense. So I'm glad to hear that the short story is actually good and falls in line with his other works.
I know it's similar to Philip K. Dick's other works. The original script simply mentioned that there was a terrorist threat. However, there were 10 bombs hidden around in major cities. Apart from the pressing nature of finding Chris and the ending scene, which was actually kept intact for some reason.
Really?
The terrorists would not factor into the plot at all, which they should not have, really, honestly. That's one of my big things. It's like, why the fuck are they following this stupid hack psychic the whole movie? Like, why do they give a shit about this guy?
No loose ends. But we're just going to blow him up. Like, it's a nuclear bomb. It's going to kill him.
Blow up the cities. Who gives a shit, dude? The film would be an endless pursuit and narrow escapes by Chris, trying to avoid the group of Agent Ferris and her FBI team, collaborating with local police. The script was then rewritten, and it was decided to feature another major antagonist, which is a fucking gang of terrorists. As a result, the gang of terrorists not only appear properly in the film, but also constitute the greatest challenge for the lead characters. However, the final cut features only 1 bomb instead of 10. I think the stakes would be a lot higher if it was 10 bombs, but I don't know how you write that.
I mean, it's a nuclear bomb. The stakes are high regardless, but it would have been more interesting if it had been multiple bombs.
A lot of my problems with this film seem to have been added in the rewrites, though the ending apparently was there all along. I don't know how you arrive at that and just be like, oh, won't that be a big giant fuck you to the whole audience that half of the movie didn't fucking matter at all? No, I think it's cool. He has a psychic vision, dude. It's like waking up from a dream. Start all over again and cut away from it.
Hate it.
He did it in Memento.
They did it in Memento. So the stupid ass jacket that he wears the whole time is actually an homage to Philip K. Dick because he's the Golden Man. Yeah. That's why he wears a gold jacket throughout the whole movie. He's the Golden Man.
I wish he would have wore the oh god, why am I blanking on it? David Lynch film.
The snake skin jacket.
I wish he would have worn that instead. Would have been more interesting.
Yeah. That jacket was, I don't know. I think like it's fine for most of the movie until the whole FBI is dressed up in tactical gear. And then there's this one jack off with fucking a gold jacket on.
Yeah. I just feel bad for him because you could see him sweating profusely under that fucking jacket.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
They're like running around and like, where were they shooting? California, Vegas.
They were shooting in
New Mexico. Something.
Apparently, it was 110-degree conditions at the Grand Canyon when they were filming those scenes, and he was wearing that goddamn.
Yeah, you could see he's sweating pretty tough.
They actually
it explains why maybe a couple of those scenes look like they were green screen. He was like, "I'm not fucking doing this anymore."
Yeah, I guess that's true.
We're not getting in that car.
Air conditioned room.
Fucking car.
I mean, it must have been rough. They apparently had to film with a different film stock when they were on those days because they were filming with I can't remember what it was, but it was like a new film stock that they had never used before, and they were scared as to whether or not it would overheat.
Melt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of it is shot 35 millimeter just because of that. This one, I think, is actually like a major thing that was lost, and I feel like something that actually explains why his psychic abilities are much better when Jessica Biel's character is around. In a way, I wouldn't say it's like really explaining it, but at least helps and makes you think, okay, well, I guess that's the reason. But the final cut never explains why Chris's powers grow due to the presence of Liz, or how he dreamed of a girl he never met. It is implied that it was destiny that brought them together. The early version of the script actually resolves some of this ambiguity. Chris would he would make her pregnant in that scene where they have sex 10 minutes after meeting. The first night that they sleep together, and the moment that he sees the vision where we see his eye and then the camera zooms out is the moment that conception happened, and was able to see into the future through the visions of his baby. As strongly implied that the baby boy would inherit his father's gift. It can therefore be inferred that Chris somehow tuned into his future child's powers, explaining the extended precognition time frame. It's just like it's 2 minutes until the script requires it not to be 2 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
The original script, however, clarified that the extension could be achieved with practice and concentration. The ending scene made even more sense since the time nexus point was explicitly the conception of the baby, something that helped Chris see much further than usual and realize his alternate path with clarity. There's a lot of things I wonder that were added or changed because of Nick Cage, because this was a script that was brought to Saturn Films, and he seems to have had a lot of input on a lot of the things that happened throughout, such as Nick was the one who came up with him being a Vegas magician. And he also came up with Jessica Biel's character having a job at the Native American reservation at the Grand Canyon.
I don't want to leave home, and I always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. So
apparently Nick has visited this tribe and spent time like staying there with them on multiple occasions, and they've made him an honorary tribe member, which is the most Nick Cage thing I could possibly find out.
All right,
because he lives next to Vegas. He lives in Vegas, so he has traveled to these reservations near the Grand Canyon. But it's like Havasupai, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Havasupai.
Which I think is actually on like the north side of the Grand Canyon, so it would be extremely long trek to get there. They actually had to come in with helicopters in order to film. She goes there once a week to teach. Seems a little bullshit, but they like scrambled the actual name of the Native American tribe's name just a little bit, and I think that was to make it ambiguous and make it to where it's like maybe this is a fictional tribe of some sort that lives right on the edge of the Grand Canyon, but you can somehow walk all the way to the bottom of the Grand Canyon in like 5 minutes. I don't know if you guys have been to the Grand Canyon, but it takes a minute.
Fuck this movie.
It's not called the
walk,
decently sized canyon. It's like the size of a fucking skyscraper.